Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. This is a gardening episode. So I haven't really done a lot with the gardening as far as filming this season, but I've been very busy planting lots of things. I planted some new flowering bulbs, but I also decided to incorporate food plants, so edibles. And I usually, as you guys know, have a kitchen table garden, but we actually own a really large, lush lot of land. I'm afraid of spiders and bugs, so I do garden in my garden beds out here, but as far as like digging up a plot to put in a vegetable garden, I just haven't been that brave. So I decided to try something new, which is taking my plants from the kitchen table to the deck and using my version, this is an experiment, of raised planting beds. So I actually have these two very large tubs that I purchased from a home improvement center. The top tub, I have drilled a hole in. Actually, I drilled 6 holes in this one so that the water will seep out. And let me show you that. And yes, these are the plants I plan on planting. Some of these I started on my kitchen table. These are bell pepper, but they're the type of bell pepper, they're like the small ones. So not like the big gigantic ones. So those were easy. And there's 3 plants in that one pot. So yeah, it's time to get these things into some really good deep dirt. These were purchased for me. These are actually onion, and they get about the size of a baseball. Sometimes they can get larger. And these are a big favorite. These are hot peppers. So these were planted from seed. And you can see they're ready to go. I don't know how well they're going to grow since I seem to have waited maybe a while to get them out here, but I can see tiny baby pepper buds. I don't know if you could see. Let me see if I can get that in there. See that one hanging down right in the center? So I figured it's time to get these once again outside in some dirt. And let me see where I could put this where it won't fall over. And this, I actually thought was parsley. This is celery. So, and it smells like celery. That's why I became suspicious of it. I was like, wait a minute, this smells like celery. And that is, you taste a piece of it, it's definitely celery. And remember, celery leaves are awesome. You could dry them and use them as you would a parsley. You can use them green like this in salads as well. Or even if you're baking a chicken, take some, a stalk or 2 of this and stuff it in that cavity of the chicken with your onion and other veg, and yum. And here's another pepper plant. So what I'm left with is this. So I don't know if you can see it, but I'll try to get it in there for you. Of course, as usual, you guys know I am my own camera person. So yes, please support the channel so that I can get better equipment. So here's one hole that I drilled. And yeah, the sticker's staying in there, it's fine. And here is, you can't see that because of the shadow. Here is another hole. And the other holes are just like that. And yes, you're saying, what is that? Those are nutshells. If you have unsalted nutshells, they are awesome for slow release nitrogen into your soil. And when I plant everything I plant, what we do is we save the shells in our freezer in a giant Ziploc bag, or sometimes several Ziploc bags. And when it's planting season, I could just grab a bag and go at it. And what I do is I put those at the bottom of the planting container. And to do this, for me anyway, very simple. This is just because it's special. So this dirt that you see here is actually dirt from the other house that we owned, as well as dirt from Alabama where my grandmother lived. So I have had the same dirt for, wow, a really long time. Like the Alabama dirt is about 20 years old. And the other dirt is not as old as that, maybe like 15 years old. But yeah, that's quite a long time. And it's mixed with the dirt from the house where we live now, that we own now. So that's just sort of like a special legacy thing. Sort of like people who make bread and they keep like the yeast part of it. And they keep it for years, supposedly. First of all, yuck, I couldn't do that. But I could do it with dirt. Dirt is good. So what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like when I mix that dirt and those nutshells at the bottom. Another great way to get a slow release nitrogen that will last years in your garden is natural cut hair. The best hair would be that has no coloring, no treatments, no conditioners on it. It hasn't been washed yet, so it doesn't have shampoo residue in it. So cut that hair, save that hair, and put that in your garage. Don't put it in your freezer. The other thing that I like to recycle and use in my gardening, and I just don't have any because we used what we had for planting stuff in the yard elsewhere, eggshells. Just make sure you rinse them off. And what I do is, once again, put them in that Ziploc bag and crush them up while they're in there and put them in the freezer. And when it's full enough or you have enough, just mix them in with your soil. Those are great ways to recycle, as well as to get nutrients from something that people would just waste and throw away. So as you can see, not a big deal. Simply mix that dirt in, and that's just legacy dirt. So obviously, most people will not be as sentimental as we are. So you may not have legacy dirt, and that is okay. But yes, I wish I had more nutshells, but this is my last planting bed of the day. So this is what I have left over. But normally I would like 3 times that much. And some of the best nutshells that will give you a nice, long, slow release are pistachios, pecans, hazelnuts, Brazilian nuts, any of the hard shell nuts. Walnuts are good. You can use peanuts, but the peanut shell is much thinner, so it doesn't last as long. But the thing to remember with all of these nuts is they must be salt free. No flavors added, just natural nut shells. And it's awesome because I see bees like flying around my plants, pollinating them. Yay! So let me talk a little bit more about my setup here. So my setup for this is to have 2 of these bins. This is an antique, by the way. This is about 130 years old. But anyway, I have 2 of these bins, and I have bricks in between. And the bricks in between have a space so that the water, when it drips down, it comes over the side of the bottom bin and it gets caught in the lip. And hopefully I am not overwatering, because if I'm not, then what will happen is that water should evaporate, or obviously you can pour it off. I am thinking, and this, like I said, is an experiment. I'm thinking of another setup that I want to try. But for right now, this is what I'm doing. And in here, what I have is this Miracle Grow potting mix. And it's for gardens. So, I'll show you the bag. This is what it looks like. And a tub like this could easily, it takes like 3 of these. So you need 3 bags of this, and these are, I don't know if you can see the cubic feet, but it's 0.75 cubic feet. And also added to this mixture, this is a New England thing, but I am going to add some Coast of Maine. What this is, it's organic, and it is lobster compost. So yeah, you know, that lobster that they take out of the shell and you wonder what happens to the shell in the inside, well, it turns into a beautiful, dark, rich, nutrient soil that you can use for your gardening. So what I do is I add several handfuls of that to my potting soil that I have inside of this container. Let's see if I can get you guys in there closer. I'll even move you down a little bit. There you go. And you can see what it looks like. It's something to remember if you store these soils, make sure you store them so that they're still moist. See, this is what it looks like, and it's not like this can clump together. This does not really clump because remember, there's lobster shell. And you can even see maybe tiny little bits of it in here. This is a favorite secret. So I will add about 6 handfuls to a container this size. And usually 1 for good measure. Good measure. And then I just mix everything in together. So you just want to really mix it in. And if I had eggshell, I would put that in here as well and mix that in. And a good thing to do is, like when we go to the beach, we'll collect shells, and I will just put them around the edge of this container. It's like such a cool decoration, but due to the shutdowns, obviously we haven't been to the beach lately. So now the soil is ready to receive plants. The only thing I did, and I kept a chunk here to show you, is I took the chunks and just, break them up. And I raked through it with my antique rake just to make it nice and even. And one of the other things that I do, there's a couple, but one of them is after I get the plants in here, I have a secret ingredient that everyone has access to. It will help keep your soil moist. It will keep any weeds down, any insect sort of at bay a little bit. And also it makes the beds look nice. So I will share that with you in a moment. And right now I'm going to get some of these plants in the dirt. So something to remember when you're getting your plants in the dirt is that you have to carefully break them apart. These are those bell peppers. So there's 3 plants in here, and the roots are beautiful. And the roots are already loosened up, but if they were super tight, you would want to loosen them up a little bit from the bottom. So as you can see, the bell peppers are in their place, and what I like to do is sort of put the plants unplanted. I lay them out in the bed just to get an idea of where I want everything to go, and most importantly, to make sure that everything fits. So everything I wanted to plant in this bed is not going to fit. So guess what, husband? I need you to go to the store tomorrow and buy me more of these bins, bricks, and soil. Yes! Why am I happy? Because I will not be throwing any of these things around. He'll have to pack them in the vehicle, bring them home, and unload them himself. But anyway, this is where I've gotten so far. I am going to plant some of the onion next. So I have some onion in there. I am going to continue planting at least 1 more row. The great news is the bud or bulb at the bottom that forms the onion is actually growing on these. I've had these growing in my house for about I'm going to say, it feels like 2 months. And I was so afraid that I would only have like the green, because the green that you see, those are basically scallions. So you can actually eat those. I actually have trimmed some off, used them in salads and in a stir fry. But my goal is to get the actual onion bulb. So I'm actually happy that these are still thriving. So the onion are in. All the onions are planted. Now, I am a little bit concerned about them. I have to be careful watering them because they are very damp. The good news is the roots are healthy. The onion bulbs are forming. The greens are still regenerating. So if I snip off the bad parts, what's been happening over the last couple months is it's been regenerating new growth, which is why we can use them in salads and stir fries. But if you notice, like some of the greenery is turning brown at the end. Not all of it, but a few pieces here and there. And because of that, that's why I was like, let me hurry up and get these into deeper soil. Now, the bins or the tubs that I'm using, they're approximately 6 inches deep. So I don't know if that's going to be deep enough for this onion bulb to form, but even if they're small onion bulbs, I'll be happy with that as well. As long as I can use them for cooking and salads, that's all I care about. And so now what I'm going to do is put in the hot peppers. So to break up the bulb, what I do is I just gently divide it here at the bottom. So you can see I'm not touching the top of the plant at all. And now this is ready. You can see how it's splayed out. It's ready to go in the dirt. So everything is planted in its place. Now I have 2 more steps. And this is the one that I know a lot of people do not do this, but I think that it definitely helps. Let me move this over so that you can see it. It's heavy. Actually, I'll just lay it on the deck. And yes, I'm planting these on my deck. I don't know if I said that earlier. Ta-da! Mulch. So, unfortunately, yes, this has color added to it. That's all they had left at the garden center. But I'm going to add a thin layer of this to my planting bed so that, like I said, it helps retain moisture. As it breaks down, it adds nutrients. Also, it can help a little bit with insect, especially if I found the one that was cedar, but they didn't have any cedar. So this is what I have. You could also use like pine mulch if you have it. Like I always say anything that's natural and makes sense for your soil. Also, yes, this bed looks pretty nice as it is, but it does, aesthetically add something to the party as well. And then after that, as you can see, water. So 2 more steps and I'm done. And all of this has taken, honestly, with me taking the stuff out of the garage and putting these together, it's taken me in total so far about 30 minutes. So yes, this video will be shorter, but that's because I'm not showing you me taking things out of the garage and making the holes. That's the other thing. And making the holes actually takes about, I'm going to say 2 to 3 minutes. It takes seconds per hole. Can anyone guess what those painter sticks or stirrers are for? If you can, please leave a comment down below and I will tell you in a few moments if you guessed correctly. So what are these being used for? What are these being used for? And also, not advertising any brand name. This is unsponsored as usual. and that's usually a store we don't shop at, but so these are what you get when you stir your paint. So what am I going to use them for? Leave a comment down below. So there you have it. What you have is the mulch down. So I mulched. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff on the deck, so that'll be fun sweeping that off. And the last step is just watering. So I will bring you along with me as I water this secret garden that's in a tub on my deck. Now, some of the things that you could use for this, of course, you could try to build your own wooden boxes out of, old pallets. Just make sure the pallets are not treated with any chemicals. Also, you can use old metal basins or tubs that you have. You can also use old animal troughs. Of course, you could buy all of this stuff brand new, but the whole idea is that you're recycling. You're not, out there trying to buy the stuff brand new. Otherwise, you're not recycling. So there are a lot of ways of doing this. You can actually buy giant planters. That's, a way that a lot of people do this. But I was trying to do this in a different way for my experiment, and also see what it would cost on a budget. So the planters, or the tubs, they cost $12 plus tax each. And they had two sizes. They had a small size, which is not really the tiniest, but it's not deep enough. And they have this, which is considered the large size. And also the mulch, I'm going to say that that was maybe $5, $6 a bag. And the soil was $3 and some change per bag. And the most expensive thing was the organic lobster compost. That was about $12 for a bag. The plants, you have seed, grow your seed, start them in the kitchen like I did on a counter. The only purchased thing were the onion. So the onion, I think that it was like, you got like 6 plants for, I'm going to say $8 and some change, but I only purchased 2 plants, so I only paid $1.50 for each one. So yeah. Oh, and the painter sticks, those are what I will write the name of each plant on. So one will say onion, bell pepper, hot pepper. And those were free because when we had paint work done at our house years ago, I kept the painting sticks that we did not use. And like I said, on those, that's what I will use as my stakes to write the names of the plants that I planted in these bins. Let me show you another one that I did earlier. So these were previously planted using the same setup. Something you see that's different on this is I'm using something similar to a cloche. And it's sort of like making its own greenhouse. And why? Because in the center, where you see that, straight down the middle of those collard greens, I have a row of mustard green seed. Now I can grow mustard seed greens so easily in the kitchen, and I think I am going to actually grow some in there as well. And it's one of those things I can grow in the winter, the summer, the spring. As long as they have sun and water, they will just keep growing in the house. I decided to try this experiment of putting some straight down the row in between the collard greens, which that's a collard, that's a collard, all of these are collards. And then to put this sort of impromptu greenhouse cloche over part of the row, just to see if those will germinate faster or slower than those that are not covered. So that will be very interesting to see. These I actually purchased from a garden center. Obviously I purchased a seed from a garden center as well. So this is a box that was done earlier, and you can see the progress on these. It's pretty good so far. They're still strong, they're still sturdy. Some that I grew in our yard, they were doing really well until the rabbits and the bugs got to them. And let me show you what remains. Okay, so these are planted a month ago, people, a month ago. And this is all of the progress. Why? Because the rabbits keep eating them. And there was like, I don't know if you could see some of the stubby parts. Let me see if I can, oh, there's a little, nope, they're not really in the picture. Oh, you could see them right there, right in here. Those stubby parts, they were doing so well. And like I said, the rabbits keep eating them up, and I refuse to fight Mother Nature. So if the rabbits are eating them, then it is what it is. I think that's a piece of Swiss chard that's right in the center with a purpley stem. That's all that's left of that. Why? Because the rabbits loved that more. So this is all I have left of that. So like I said, I'm going to try something different using the planters. Hope that works. I will definitely give you guys updates on it, let you know how it's doing. Oh, I bought this from the garden center also. Scotch bonnet pepper, people. So I've never grown this before. It's, one of the hotter, probably top 10 hot peppers in the world. And this onion plant is growing from, and this is supposed to be a large onion. As you can tell, look how large that is. That's at least 14 inches high. And I grew that from an onion that was sprouting from a bag of onions that I got from the grocery store. So you can try, experiment, you guys. Try different things. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Why? Because you can still go to the store and buy fresh fruit and veg, a farmer's market. Go to a farm directly if it's a mom and pop setup. And they will usually definitely sell you stuff right out of the field, whether they pick it or you pick it. My mother used to do that when we were growing up all the time, and we had a farm down the road from us, so we'd go there all the time. So, they are willing to work with you. And like I said, experiment with, your growing. Even now, I can't remember what zone we're in, but the plants that I planted are good for planting in June here. I think it's from May till June or April till June. So, I'm hitting near that middle part of June, which is fine. And that's why I was like, let me get these outside now while I have the opportunity, and while there's hopefully a good chance that they will grow and we can actually harvest, or have some that will be continuously harvested. But anyway, that's what I have for the moment. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Velvet Lounge Life. Please remember to subscribe, hit the button. That's all you need to do. Hit the bell notification so that you can get updates of any new content that we have, as well as have a great day. Thumbs up us, leave comments down below, suggestions, ideas, experiments I should try. That would be really fun. And also remember that your health is your wealth, and without your health, you have absolutely nothing. So please, please, please take care of yourselves and be well.